Hi, welcome back to my channel, the third Bara. And once again, the goal of this channel is to continue to add value in your investing journey. And this channel will give you a front seat into how I invest and how I digest the various information that's out there pertaining to my investments. So, if you didn't have a chance to view my first video, have a look. But at the end, I showed my stock portfolio, and as you can see, this is the value as of today. It appears that I have lost some capital gains value, maybe around 2000, just over 2000. But as I explained in my last video, that's okay. We can expect stock value to be high some days, to be low some days based on the market situation. But we are in this for the long term. I am in this for the long term. So, my portfolio value stands at 493,288 Trinidad and Tobago dollars. Uh, the unrealized losses is 8,244, and my estimated dividend income still currently at 27,856. So that's my expected dividend income for this year, which is roughly about 2,000 and $2,300 every month, which I don't know where you are, but that's a decent amount. So, just a brief uh, look at the template I'm using. There's a company called Simply Wall Street. Let me just go to their page. And no, this is not a paid endorsement. It's just a company I found that accurately tracks the value of local stocks. Not just Trinidad stocks, they also do Barbados stock, Bajan stocks, they also do stocks in Jamaica. But of course, for me, as a Trinidad and Tobago investor in the Trinidad and Tobago stock market, that was my interest. So they they have different levels, I believe. They have a free account which allows you up to 8 holdings. Um, and then they have 2 levels where you have to pay a yearly fee and you get a more information, more analysis from them. Honestly, it's the only platform that I could have used to be able to track my portfolio. And in future sessions, I will dive down into the details of my portfolio. But for now, it is what it is. So in the current screen, they have a template here which sort of compares my portfolio with the Trinidad market, meaning all the investable securities is identified by this line, the white line, and my portfolio is the red line. So as can be seen, it appears that I'm underperforming the market in both the 1 year lens, the 3 month lens. Actually, let me take that back. So what this is, they give you a certain view. You can see it's a lens. They give you a 5 day, a 1 month, a 3 month, a year to date, and a 1 year uh, look back into the past. And they basically compare the performance of your portfolio of stocks to the Trinidad market. So ideally, you would want to beat the market or at least match the market. So based on the stocks that I have thus far over the last year, if we zoom in a bit here, there was some time where I was beating the Trinidad market, but since the summer, July, August, I have been underperforming the Trinidad market. However, if we look from a 3 month view, say around Christmas, where I think the Trinidad market really bottomed, since then, my holdings, which is represented by the green line, it has been outperforming the Trinidad market. So, it seems that I got my house in order in the last 3 months. I have been beating the Trinidad market. And let's see, as it stands today, which is the 3rd of February, my holdings has performed to 3.9%, whereas the Trinidad market performed 2.9%. So 1% difference, which for a DIY investor, which is do it yourself investor, that is not bad. I'm not a professional investor. I don't have any formal training in finance or investments. I just gathered information that exposed and that's out there on the internet. I'm exposed to it just like you are, and I digest the information to inform my decisions when I'm buying my Trinidad stocks. So that isn't bad. So let's take a deeper dive into my portfolio to see, well, what are the 11 holdings that make up this 493,000? Well, let's see. Yes, so what we can see here is my 11 securities that I currently own in the Trinidad and Tobago stock market. So let's step through this one by one. So what we have here is CIBC Caribbean Bank. They are a regional bank that is cross-listed on the Barbados Stock Exchange as well as the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. So my current holdings there is 64,000, just over 64,000. And thus far, it has been performing at a return of 10.8%. I believe this value gives the value since inception. So what this platform does, it compares the last 7 days performance with the performance since inception. So since I bought these stocks, this has been the overall return that I've gained. Moving on to the other holding, you should recognize this very easily. This is First Citizens Group Financial Holdings, and my stake in this is $30,616, and it's been performing okay for the last 7 days. It's up 0.84%, and since inception, it's been performing at a rate of 10.6%. So that isn't bad. My next holding is Grace Kennedy. Grace Kennedy is a Jamaican company. It resides on the Jamaican stock market, but is also cross-listed on the Trinidad and Tobago stock market. And I personally think it's an excellent company. It has an excellent leadership. And in future postings on my channel, I will deep dive in each of these stocks. I will go into their prospectus. I will just take key points that I took away that informed my decision for me to invest in these companies. So my stake in Grace Kennedy right now is at 93,355. The last 7 days, the stock price has been down. The performance has been a loss of minus 1.07%. But overall, since inception, since I started buying Grace Kennedy stock, it has been up 0.2%. My next holding is, of course, Guardian Holdings, and you should be familiar because they have a range of insurance products. So my viewers from Trinidad will be familiar with Guardian Holdings. The My current stake is at 39,293, and both since inception and these last 7 days, they're both showing that the performance has been less than satisfactory. But I still believe in this company. Let's see how it goes. My other holding, which is at the level of $4,050, it's LJ Williams. And honestly, this is the worst investment I've done. This company offers no income, no dividend income at all. And this was one of the first quota of stocks that I've bought. And I remember just reading about the company at the time. I believe they are the oldest, one of the oldest companies on the Trinidad and Tobago stock market. So I thought at the time, yeah, well, they have been around a while, so they must be a good company, right? But I was wrong. So since inception, I have lost 59.3%. But I'm still holding on to it. As I said, these losses you're seeing here are unrealized losses. Only when you sell, that's when you realize the gains or losses. My next holding is Massey Holdings, and this is the crown jewel of my holding. As you can see, I have a stake of 136,387. Since inception, it has been up 17.9%. This is one of the best performing companies that I know. Don't sleep on Massey Holdings, and I can't wait to do a deep dive on an individual post on Massey Holdings where I'll go through their prospectus and show you why this is an outstanding company to invest in. My next holding is National Enterprises, and I have 34,174. This has been a bumpy ride. They give a very good dividend income, but their capital gains, because it's linked to energy prices in Trinidad, it has been rock bottom. But their assets, their current asset holdings is still promising for the future, so I still have hope. My other holding is National Flour Mills, and this is a recent holding, so it has not changed since I've started investing, so you'll see no more numbers here. I hope this is not a glitch in the format. I'll have to check this out. But the level of my holdings here is 59,199. My other holding, which everyone in Trinidad will recognize, is Prestige Holdings. And this is another outstanding company. I dropped the bag, or I should say, I fumbled the bag in the period just after COVID when they were selling at a bargain price. Now they have jumped up again, so I've ridden that ride up with my existing shares. So you can see since inception it's been performing at a level of 15.1%, but I only have 20,000. I wish this was something like 60,000, but we'll get into that in later posts on my channel. All right, so my last two holdings are Unilever Caribbean. Once again, this has been disappointment for me. I thought this company would have been a much stronger company to hold. However, maybe it's the sign of the economic times that's making their share price, and their share price is taking a hit. I need to deeper dive in their prospectus to understand what's the issue at Unilever, but I'm going to still hold it. This was one of the first companies as well, as you can see by the amount at 8,000. This was one of the first companies I bought. However, I didn't continue to invest based on their current bad performance, but I need to make a decision sooner or later whether I will maintain my current ownership of these shares, or if I will increase, or whether I will just decide to cut my losses and sell. And my last holding is West Indian Tobacco Company. And I remember I worked for West Indian Tobacco Company at one time in the past, and I thought it was a great company. But for some reason, their share price has taken a hit, and therefore is reflecting a loss of 59.1%. But I still have hope for West Indian Tobacco. I think they're still a good company, but I need to deep dive in their latest prospectus to understand what's the issues and what's the issues and challenges that facing the company, and whether I will continue to be a shareholder or not. All right, and this basically was my deep dive into the my current Trinidad and Tobago stock portfolio. These are my 11 holdings. As I said in my last video I posted, I'm all here for transparency. So let me know what you think about my portfolio in the comments below. All right, thank you. So as I said, these are my 11 uh, current holdings in my portfolio, and this this template, they have some really good analysis features. So if I click on diversification and I scroll down, it shows what percentage of each of my holdings. So as you can see, Massey is the largest percent, followed by Grace Kennedy, and the third is the Caribbean CIBC Caribbean Bank. So those are my main holdings. We have NFM also has a large allocation, 12%. Massey's 27.6%. Let's see. CIBC Caribbean Bank has 13.1%. Grace Kennedy has 18.9%. And the other ones are, of course, as you can see, smaller percentages. I'll just pass the mouse and you can see for yourself. They give very good diagrams to show how my millionaire portfolio is broken up and distributed across the 11 holdings. So let me just stay here for a while so you can see clearly. Massey is my crown jewel. That's my main investment. But my portfolio is also diversified and in different areas. You can see, well, Massey's industrial conglomerate, Grace Kennedy mainly food distributors. We have diversified banks taking up 19%, which is First Citizen and CIBC. We have packaged foods and meat, which is NFM. And we have Prestige Holdings, which falls under the restaurant category. So yeah, this is my portfolio. But what is of great importance, and this is where people really sleep on the Trinidad stock market, is the dividends. This dividend is equivalent to 27,856 per year. That is not small money. I'm sorry. That is about 2,300 a month. Imagine you getting 2,300 a month extra just because you're holding stock. So what this table shows is it breaks down the contribution, the expected contribution by company. As you can see, surprisingly, the largest contributor would be National Enterprise Limited, followed by Massey Holdings. even though my stake in Massey Holdings is much larger, because of the expected yield. Yield is what is the percentage of the the value of the dividends that you are expected to get as a percentage of the overall price of the overall share price. So the expected yield is much smaller in Massey than in National Enterprise Limited. So that's why they have a large contribution to my dividends. So let's talk about these dividends. And you probably saw in my thumbnail I said salary income does not equal dividend income. What that means to say is that this 23, let's call it 24,000, sorry, 2,400. This 2,400 extra per month that I'll be getting through dividends does not equal to 24,000 increase in your salary. It's not the same. The value may sound the same, but it's not the same. And I will explain why. You have to pay the tax guy in Trinidad and Tobago and most other countries. And the tax regime is very different depending on the country. So, at this point, I'm going to explain how the tax is distributed in Trinidad in terms of your income, and where does the government focus on taking tax, and what gets exempted from this tax. So this is PricewaterhouseCoopers page, and I know they are experts at taxes and doing people's taxes and company corporate tax and individual tax. So what we see here is that a resident individual engaged in employment is accessible to tax on one's worldwide income. A non-resident individual engaged in employment in Trinidad and Tobago is taxed on income received for services performed in Trinidad, whether such income is received in Trinidad and, and Tobago. So we have the overall different types of incomes. We have the employment income, capital gains, dividend income, and interest income. And I'm resisting going down into the details as I'm not a tax lawyer. I'm definitely not your tax lawyer. But what you should see, and you should see for yourself, when you look at the dividend income, that 2,400 a month that I was talking about, that's coming from your portfolio, look at what they say. Dividends, excluding preference dividends, received from investments in resident companies are exempt from tax in the hands of the resident individuals. In layman's terms, if you gain 2,400 a month in dividend income, it's all yours. The government does not take taxes from that. It's tax-free money. Interest income. If you have money in like unit trust or in the bank and you get a percentage interest, that additional income is not taxed by the government. However, and we do know that above 72,000 of your salary every year, anything above that is taxed 25%. So think about it. Let's say you were making 6,000 a month. Would you prefer your company give you a raise of 2,400 a month, where 25% of that, which is about $600, will be going to the government? Or do you prefer to get that additional 2,400 a month from your dividends, where all of it comes to you and the government takes nothing? This is how salary income is not equivalent to dividend income. And that is how you can legally not pay taxes. Because, and if you channel your investments into your portfolio, your money into your portfolio, that additional income you're going to get back through dividends is not going to be taxed. And this is how you can get additional income, additional passive income, and avoid paying tax on it. CEOs of different companies, as part of their compensation package, they negotiate shares in that company instead of a large monthly salary. And the benefit for them is that the shares that they have, the dividends that those shares generate, that give them additional income, is not taxed by the government. And this is how those with the knowledge and those with the resources protect their additional incomes from the hands of the government by channeling their income into areas that the government is telling you they do not tax. So why are you fighting for a raise where the government is going to take a quarter of that instead of channeling your resources into investments where the government doesn't touch it? The government is basically telling you, be an investor. We are not going to tax you. But if you want to be a worker and you get an increase, then 25% of it is ours. This is how you work smart, not work hard. And this is why the knowledge of the capitalist system is important. Be an investor. Don't take your hard earned money and have to share it with the government. And I think this is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the information that I shared with you. And I hope to see you again next time I post a video on my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.